Hi guys, Rian Bailey here and welcome to Ball Talk episode 5. This week I'm joined by former Meath senior footballer Joe Sheridan. Thanks to Adapt Athletic Performance and Therapy for sponsoring the podcast. There'll be a link in the description to their Instagram page, so give them a follow if you can. Subscribe for more, leave a like and share the video around, and I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Okay, this is Ball Talk episode number 5. I'm here with former Meath senior footballer Joe Sheridan. How are you doing, Joe?
Good, Rian, how are you?
I'm not too bad.
Right.
Good stuff. So, usually, Joe, when we do this podcast, I kind of start off, maybe go back a few years in time, but today I'm going to take a different sort of approach. Going to go with just what's happening right now. With the whole pandemic and that, and the football's kind of up in the air and stuff. What's your opinion? Let's say if you're still playing for Meath, and obviously there's a lot of players that are kind of saying, I won't play games behind closed doors. It's completely different out the fans. Would you be in the mindset of, I just want to play football, or would you be like, no, you need to have a support there?
Yeah, it's a tough one, to be honest. I'd be probably more along the side of, if everyone was safe and all the procedures were put through, I think you could play games and get games played behind closed doors, and that would be what I'd be thinking. I think that's probably the only possibility if there's any football going to be played this year at all, regarding the county level. It's going to be very difficult to sort of try and monitor club scene, especially because there's so many people in and out of different clubs from one day to another. At least with a county scene, you can actually put in place some measures to be able to restrict who's going to be in and out of county pans and that. And that's probably the only way that I could see, football coming back to some sort of normality around August, September time.
Yeah, and I actually...
obviously people at this stage are mad to get back and see any type of football. And that's people like to see it, even if it's a Junior C Division 7 game.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just people need to get out and would love to see something. So look, it's down to GA, top brass, and if they can come up with something and some sort of plan for going forward, and maybe a roadmap to sort of give people advice, because everyone will have, as I said, everyone will have their own opinions, but you've got to have it coming from the top just to see where everything goes. So
exactly, yeah, because it's one thing you can say, oh, we won't have crowds at the games, but it's a contact sport all the same. Like, fellas are going to be bumping into each other and stuff like that. It's going to be a tough one to call.
I think you'd have to have every team and everyone involved in that.
Yeah.
Setup tested before you could do it, and that's the only way you could do it regarding any sort of games going ahead, I think.
Definitely. We'll talk a bit about Leicester Football. So 15 years now, Dublin have 14 of the last 15 Leicester titles, and of course you won it in 2010, and I'm going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a while. But just from your involvement with the Meath panel over the years, and you came back in 2017, and I know you've been involved in underage teams as well. Is there any team coming up that you think can actually kind of break the wall down, sort of say, in the next 5 years, 10 years, or do you think Dublin are just it's very hard to see that happen?
Oh, well, look, I think with Dublin, they have put this sort of setup in place for the last 15 years, and it's obviously over them years. And look, they're the benchmark for every team to go at, and we just have to keep going and keep trying and doing whatever we can to try and compete at that level. What I would say, I have been involved in sort of 17 minor teams. I was involved with the under-20s last year. And we do, I think we were probably a bit slower, obviously, than Dublin, getting sort of structures in place for our underage going forward and our development squads. But I think we're at that place probably 4 or 5 years at this stage. And I'd like to see, I think we'll see sort of benefits that's coming through over the next couple of years onto our senior squad. We had a very strong 20 squad. This year, we just didn't turn up against Dublin. It was very disappointing, and the lads were very disappointed after the game. And we were expecting a lot of things. But look, that's the way it goes, especially knockout football. You have one chance and you have to take it on the day. And Dublin were the better team on the day. But we do have a lot of lads there, very young squad, and a lot of lads around the fringes. Like, we had 6 players from the senior squad on our under 20 squad this year. So that just shows the type of lads that we have around the teams, and on our senior squad as well. You take in consideration that with maybe 4 or 5 lads from last year's under-20 squad, and then lads coming through this year. You know, in the next 3 or 4 years, I'd like to think that we could compete and sort of start bridging that gap that Dublin have sort of pushed on so far in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and just kind of on that similar topic, the progression that Dublin have made, as you said, the last 15 years, do you think the progression that they have made has stopped other counties from progressing? Or is it like, I mean, when I say stopped other counties from progressing, are other counties like, oh, you know, Dublin are just going to win everything now? There's lads that might take the foot off the gas, go to Australia, go to America, place like that? Or is it that counties are progressing and Dublin are just progressing that bit more? Or is it a bit of both? Like, what would your stance be on that?
Yeah, I think it is a bit of both. It is hard for, say, a mid-tier team who aren't getting that much success. Next thing, someone gets an offer from, say, Boston or New York to go and play football for the summer, and they're thinking, like, we're not going to be successful here. What will happen? You know, and it's happened to teams over the last couple of years, especially sort of them types of teams, sort of any teams outside the top 8 or even top 6 nearly. You know, lads are sort of thinking, I'll go traveling, I'll do this, I'll do that, because they don't see that they're going to have any success. With Dublin, you're guaranteed to be an All-Ireland every year, if not win it, you know, and they've done it for the last 5 in a row. So they're guaranteed the last 5. They'll probably be in an All-Ireland final this year if we have one. It's a massive draw for players. If Meath were in an All-Ireland and pushing for All-Irelands every year, you wouldn't have any lads going away. You'd have a full squad of players. And look, we've probably been unlucky that some of our players with injuries, and some of them have gone abroad, like some of the younger players that would be fantastic playing for Meath. You know, we've Conor Nash who's gone to Australia, we've Keane McBride who's gone to Australia, Ronan Jones went to America, he's coming back, Porcan went to New Zealand, you know, so they're 4 players that would be a spine of any senior team. So for us, it is hard when you miss them types of players. But look, you've got to get on with it. Dublin, to be fair, they've put their structures in place. I think they're set up from the top down. You never hear any issues with it, Dublin. You never hear rows in the county board. You never hear rows on the team. And if there is, it's very small. The next thing they move on, and there's very little made of it. So I think that's the way they control it pretty well. And I know they have a massive backroom team. They've got everything around to support that. But they put it in place. They made sure they do that. And they weren't successful back to the early to mid-90s. I know they won in 95. But still, the structures weren't in place then. That's why they weren't successful. They put the structure in place now. And now everyone's chasing. And it's probably a bit of timing as well. Some of the likes of Kerry probably weren't at the strongest over a couple of the years that they were playing. I know Mayo were very unlucky. Kerry probably threw it away in the first day. So, you know, there have been chances for the teams playing Dublin in the finals. You know, everyone thinks up through these All-Ireland finals, but they haven't. And to be fair, Dublin are clinical. They're so physically and mentally strong that they just, if you give them a second chance, that's it. That's it. It's gone. The game is gone. And to be honest, you've got to hand it to them for what they've done.
Yeah, 100%.
And for me, man, that's hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. I see now. Yeah, so we'll go back a few years now. We'll go back to something that I've spoke to a few lads about over the last couple of weeks. Spoke to Matty Donnelly about it last week from Tyrone, and Enda Smith from Roscommon as well. And it's about the Railway Cup. And you would have played Railway Cup sort of the late 2000s. You would have played a bit like as it was kind of dying off as well, so to say. Like, was it when you were playing in the mid, let's say 2005, 2006, around that time, was it a competition that was maybe more respected, got more TV time? Well, when I say TV time, got more sort of publicity, say. Was it dying out then, or was it something that just kind of died out around 2010 sort of time?
Yeah, no, they were trying to put things in place because the interest from, I don't know if it was the public or from the GA itself, it was dying down, and it was like, how do we try and get this going? And it was more because the players were so interested and had a massive interest in playing it. I was actually cleaning out a few things, and I opened up a box, and there was the Railway Cup 2006 final in Boston.
I looked at that today. I saw that the game was in Boston, right?
Yeah, and that was one thing they tried to do. They tried to like incentivize the teams to sort of get the interest going and make sure all the players were available. And we ended a trip to Boston to play Connacht in the final, ended up winning it, thankfully. So I think there was another trip to Paris as well. And to be fair, Martin Donnelly was the sponsor at the time, and he pumped a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of time. And to be fair, if it wasn't for him, that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't imagine. So it was a fantastic competition. You're playing with some of the best players in the province, and you're coming up against obviously Ulster were quite strong at that time, but we were lucky. We beat them in the semi-final actually that year. But no, it was fantastic. It's great. It's free-flowing football. It's end-to-end. And it's just one game, and fans get to see some of the best players in the country playing against each other. And I used to love playing. I was lucky enough playing 3 or 4 years of it, which is great. So and I think it's more so the GA trying to find the spot in the calendar to actually fit in. With everything going on, it's getting harder and harder. And I think that was the issue, unfortunately. But you can't have everything, to be honest. I think the players sort of had to sort of accept that, and it sort of is weighing out pretty much at this stage.
Yeah, it's a shame, because even if they did it if it was kind of planned out that we'll do it every 3 years or something, or we'll have it like the year that we have the international rules, we might have the Railway Cup the next year and then do it sort of every second year sort of thing. But it just did, just died out.
You could even play as a curtain raiser to the international rules or something like that, because you're only going to have 25 players on the international rules, something like that, just to spice it up a wee bit and have a bit of buzz around the place. There'd be no harm in that, but I think the GA sort of knocked it on the head, and I don't think they're going to go back to it, to be honest, anytime soon, unfortunately.
I suppose there's a lot going on as well. You've got Sigerson football, that's getting more sort of TV time in that, and Fitzgibbon Cup as well, the hurling, same can be said for the hurling interprovincial stuff as well. It's kind of, as you said, it's fitting into the calendar.
Yeah, and I think it was more around the club stuff, because it used to be around October time. So it'd be feeding into the time that the county setup was finished. So then you're like, oh shit, county players are coming together again to play provincial football. And I'd say that was more so because but it didn't make that much of a difference, because you're only coming together maybe a couple of times before the game. Yeah. You'd have one game and you're gone, or you have one game and then you've got another week to the final the following week or something like that. So it was probably 2 or 3 weeks max, and it was great. And so some of the games we played, and that final we played in Boston, there was one of the best games I was involved in. And we went, we were over, it was mighty crack, and it was just a weekend. We were there for 4 or 5 days, really enjoyed it. Had good crack with the lads we were there with, enjoyed it. Then we went out and we played the game. The game was literally non-stop. Connacht actually were ahead, and then we come back, got a goal. Then I think we won by a point or 2 in the end. So I just checked that DVD. I have to watch it over the next couple of days.
Yeah, sort of it's exhibition sort of stuff, but there's a bit of bite to it as well. You don't want to lose it.
Oh, absolutely. She's some of the most competitive footballers in the country. They don't want to lose anything.
Yeah.
It's literally put us on the pitch and we'll want to win. That's as simple as that.
Let's play ball. Let me see now. We'll go fast forward a few years. I think it was on Joe.ie there a few weeks ago. They had an article up, and it was about 15-20 minutes of reading, and it was all about 2010 and how that was kind of I suppose you could say a neutral sort of a dream. It was just crazy all over the country. You had obviously the Meath Louth, the Leinster final, you had the Cork and Down All-Ireland final. I know in Connacht as well, Sligo beating Mayo and Galway, and then getting bet by Roscommon. Was that the year did you bet Dublin and Croke Park that year as well, did you?
The semi-final, we beat them. We scored 5 goals that day. It was unheard of. And we just, everything happened, everything we done, it just seemed to create goal chances, and it was a strange game, and it was great for us, obviously, because it was the first time we'd been in Dublin in the championship, and so it was a big stepping stone for us. It was probably our final, we probably thought so much going in, obviously, into the Leinster final after beating Dublin. The hype was around us. We were massive favourites going into it. And we probably, we didn't play well on the day. Absolutely not. It was literally one of them games that we just were very, obviously, with circumstances, the way that ended up, we were very lucky to come out of it. But we weren't the best team on the day. We didn't play well. We got very lucky, obviously. And it probably was, probably after that getting beaten by Kildare then in the quarter-final, that was just sort of anticlimax because we had a very strong squad. And I was only chatting to a couple of lads that were involved that day and over that from sort of 07, 08, 09, 010 team that we had, that we probably didn't win enough. We were quite strong, but you had the likes of obviously Cork that around them times, Kerry were very strong, Owen obviously, so it was we got beaten by Kerry in 09 semi-final, and there's a chance there that we could have beaten them. But look, 2010, it was one of them years. I remember being at the Cork Down final, and it didn't feel really like an all-Ireland final for some reason. And was probably our opportunity to get to an all-Ireland final at least. Whether we would have won it that year or not is another thing. But we felt probably we left something behind us that year, big time, and a chance to sort of get some silverware and maybe push on and win an all-Ireland final.
Yeah, I'm just going back to the Leinster final because I sent out there on Instagram the other day asking if anyone had any questions for you or anything, and it was all about the Leinster final in 2010. Now I've read in different articles and stuff how you were saying about obviously the goal that you scored. Just talk me through your interpretation of that, because I know people have obviously biased outlooks on the goal and that, and they'll say, oh, he did this, he did that, and what's your honest opinion on it?
Yeah, the way I looked at it straight away, I was thinking that I wasn't 100% sure of the ruling. So the way I was thinking that if the keeper had the ball and he was stepped back over the line, it was a goal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually thought I was already over the line. I'd been fouled. I thought the ref had blown for a penalty, actually. There was lads just come in underneath me. And I know it looked like a jump, but it sort of took the momentum out of it. So I had nowhere to go. So I actually thought I was over the line. And then I just realised I was over the line. I try and kick it, and I obviously I'm size 12 feet, and I still couldn't kick it, which is a bit of a nightmare. But it was a strange one because then obviously I wasn't 100% sure on the ruling of the sort of if you're over the line. If I had the ball and I was pushed over the line, would that be goal as a forward? If it was a defender, it would be. So I wasn't 100% sure on that. But obviously then I hadn't gone over the line with the ball. And then obviously throwing the ball in the net was sort of, it's obviously not allowed in the game, and the goal shouldn't be good, but that's the way I seen it because I hadn't seen it straight away after the game, obviously. And it was only when we come out after the game that we realised the sort of how big of a deal it was, with everything that went on and all the stories that we heard in the stands and everything that happened with the referee and stuff like that. So it was a strange one, and it's hindsight is a great thing, but I probably shouldn't have said what I said after the game about it being a perfect goal, because I just thought with the emotion of it, I thought it was a goal. The ref gave it. That's what I would see in general when it comes to playing on anything, whatever it is on the pitch. What happens on the pitch, it stays on the pitch, and it's, the score at the end of the day was that we'd won the game, and that's all I sort of took from it, to be honest.
Yeah, and the fact that it was kind of sort of nearly halfway in that period of Dublin winning 14 Leinster titles, and it's a huge thing. First off, for yourselves and Louth to get to the final, the Dublin aren't in the final, and then for you to win it, and the whole sort of hype around the goal afterwards. Did that take away from the celebrations for you? Because I'm sure you got a certain amount of obviously criticism and stuff like that, whether that be on television, on radio, text, stuff like that. Did it take away from the whole winning the Leicester title for you at all?
Yeah, it did. The celebrations, we enjoyed that night, but after that, the celebrations were literally cut out. There was nothing. It was nearly like, even among the squad, there was lads like, what are we doing? We should be, like, we had a meeting about it after, and we're like, what will we do here? And some lads were saying, no, we should, but like 85% of the squad were like, no, lads, what happened has happened. We've got to get on with it. And it did. Like, we didn't. I was only chatting to someone the other day regarding an interview, and it was like, we didn't get to go around the schools. We didn't get to enjoy it with the fans and the people of Meath. And it'd been so long. Like, when you look back, 2010, Dublin went on and won the All Ireland. 2011, you know, and we've literally, they've just gone from strength to strength. And that was a year that we beat them by, was it 5 or 6 points in the end? And whereas we went the opposite way, and we've struggled and we've gone miles apart. And it's amazing what something like that could do. And it knocked the confidence probably out of players, out of sort of the county. And it probably, when you look back at it, it probably did have yep.
Were you playing in goals for your club, or like, how did that whole thing come about?
No, I hadn't played in goals. I played in goals with the club when I first started out with the senior team back when I was 15.
Right.
And that was the time I ever played in goals. I actually went to Australia to play in goals with the under-17 team. Because I played in goals with the senior team, the under-16 manager actually made a suggestion. How's about go to the international rules trials and go in goals? Because he knew it. Look, you have a great opportunity, see what happens. So I did, and I actually made it in goals and played outfield as well. But that was the only time I would have played in goals. And I just got a phone call from a brother of mine. Brian was on the squad at the time, and he was saying that Andy wanted to have a chat with me. Would I take a call? I hadn't a clue what it was about. So I took the call, and next thing he said, look, we'd be interested in bringing you in as a goalkeeper. And I was like, right, I didn't see it coming. I was still only, 32, 33 at the time. I was like, maybe he wants me to come back in, because I still felt I had some part to play as an outfield player. But I says, look, if whatever I'm going to do, let's give it a go and see what happens. And in the back of my mind, I was like, at least it gives me a foot in the door to try and get back in and play outfield. And that, to be fair, Andy gave me a couple of runs outfield in training games and a few challenge matches and stuff. But yeah, it was a strange one. You know, I don't envy keepers doing training anymore, because I done a few sessions with Paul McSullivan, who was the goalkeeping coach, and it wasn't easy now. But it was enjoyable, and if help I can, and if it was good getting in and chatting to lads and being involved with the squad again. And it's something I enjoy doing, and being involved with the squads and stuff. And in whatever capacity it is, it was great. So it didn't turn out as I would have liked, but I was very thankful to Andy for giving me an opportunity and giving me a chance to get playing back for Meath and putting the jersey back on again. So it was great.
Okay, before we go into the 15 that you selected, we'll go through a few sort of quick fire, if you want to call them sort of questions. So. Yep. Your career highlight so far. Well, when I say so far, what's your career highlight?
Sorry, probably winning the club championship in 07. We won it in 09 as well, but probably that one. And yeah, I'd say that was the first championship would have been a career highlight for.
Sounds good. Your favourite boots that you ever wore?
Oh, I had the white Manias. They were like the beige Manias.
Yeah.
And I had a pair before, the Predators before that I wore in Australia. Lovely pair of boots. I was only looking at them the other day online. But I would have been a Predator man big time.
Your toughest opponent? No, you would have played on the half forward line and the full forward line, so you could pick a centre back or a full back, whichever, or both if you want.
Yeah. The biggest roasting I got was off Gerard O'Kane in the minor final, All Ireland final back in 2002. I was only one of the lads only slagged me here last night. A brother-in-law of mine, who was slagging me at the roasting I got. But I'd say I played against McGeeney against Armagh. We played against him a good few times in the league. He was centre back, I was centre forward. So when it came to we did push each other. I remember one night in Navan we were playing and literally just mouthing at each other, giving each other plenty of lip. Great, because it was we still have respect for each other, but we were getting stuck into each other after the game, shook hands, had the respect for each other, and I'd say McGeeney probably, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting you said, because O'Kane is Derry, is that right?
Yeah.
It's interesting you said that, because I did a podcast 2 weeks ago with Sean Quigley from Fermanagh, and I asked him the same question, and he named three of his toughest opponents, all Ulster fullbacks. Is there something about them up there that they're just that bit tougher, or are they like better at sort of getting in your head? Are they tougher on the ball? Are they better skill wise? What is it?
I just couldn't catch him. Okay, I've never seen a man. He got the ball in front of me in the all-line fine. I can still see it. Got a ball, and I went to go after him. And the fastest player I've ever seen on the pitch, apart from Darren O'Sullivan, took off, ran up, and stuck it over the bar in an all-line and final. And he just was everywhere. Read the game very well. And when you look at the career he went on to have, I think 4 years captain Derry, and is a hard night. I met him a couple of times up all-line finals and stuff like that, and a really nice fella as well. So yeah, it's bred into them up there.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest influence on your GA career?
I'd say my father. He's been involved in our football career since we were 3 years of age, playing football. We lived in England. He managed us in England. Come back here, he managed us a number of years from underage. He managed us to win the 2007-2009 Champion Finals with the club.
Right.
We were in another final in 2010, and he had a great career as well himself. So his knowledge of football is, notch, and I'd always respect his opinion and his advice when it came to football. And he'd be a massive influence. And Sean Boylan would have been another one.
Yeah.
Sean to the Meath squad when they're only 17, and people are thinking, what is happening here? And the best manager I've ever played under. Incredible. His knowledge of the game, how to sort of man manage and look after the squads that he done. It was a fantastic achievement, and I was very lucky to play under him.
Just as you said there, you're saying your father managed when you played in England. And
yep.
I only actually saw this about, I'd say, an hour and a half ago. The club that you played with in England were playing a game up in Oma in '98.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us the story of that day when you went up to the game?
Yeah. There's no problem there. We John Mitchell was the team they were actually playing, and it was Warwickshire, so it would have been the county. So John Mitchell's with the club, and they were playing. Warwickshire were playing. I don't know why they were playing, but there was a game up in Oma, and I remember Dad rang one of them lads and said, "Is the game on?" So we were building our house at the time, and we were roofing the house. I can remember, and he says, "Yeah, game's on. So we'll head up." The game was on in Oma. We left, and we headed up the road, and obviously a lot of people might not know, but 1998, obviously that time was the time of the Oma Bomb. And we drove up, and we were heading towards the game, and we were coming into Oma town, and next thing, we actually hadn't a clue where the pitch was, so we just pulled in and asked this woman, we just said, "Any chance you know where the football pitch is?" And she directed us to the pitch, and literally just off the cuff, it was as if it was like saying good luck. She just says, "By the way, there's a bomb warning above in the town, so just be careful." So we just drove on, didn't pay any attention. And literally a couple of minutes later, we just pulled up to the traffic lights, and it was about 4 or 5 cars back. And within about 5 seconds, it was as if time stood still for a couple of seconds, this massive bang. And next thing, literally all hell broke loose. The windows were smashed in the shops beside us. There was the water main blew up, water running down the hill. And my father, actually, who'd worked in the mines in Navan, he actually just said, "That's a bomb." He'd obviously been working with explosives over the years.
Yeah.
It was just an instant reaction. My mother's a nurse, and she just says, "I have to get out and see if everyone's all right." So she got out, and next thing we just pulled up to the crossroads. So we were literally about 3 or 4 cars back from the actual traffic lights and the junction. And the bomb was literally just around the corner. It was a car bomb. and we'd a van, we'd a minibus at the time that we brought home from England, and it would probably fit 12 or 15 people into it. So we just tried to put in as many people as we could. A lot of serious injuries, and there were people dead on the road as we were trying to help people into the van. We were quite young at the time, so my mother and father were trying to obviously screen us from what we were seeing, but we were just trying to get many people in the van as well, and we brought them up to the hospital. And we were lucky enough, we were out there pretty quick, and we brought a few people up, and a lot of serious injuries. And there was one young lad actually, he had a lot of serious injuries. I think he had 20 buckets of shrapnel pulled out of him over the course of years. His side blew out, and he had a number of skin grafts and operations to sort of, obviously getting back up and running. But incredible fella. He went and he ended up being go-kart champion, traveled the world. He's doing like sort of extreme sports and cycling around the world, and incredible fella. Like, I think he was only 5 or 6 at the time when it happened to him. He could have been a bit older, but not much older. To come out of it the way he did, it was some experience, and it's a day you'll never forget anyway.
Yeah, it's an image that kind of won't leave your memory.
No, not at all.
I'm going to go from one sort of spectrum segment of the podcast now. For anyone that hasn't seen the podcast before, this is the My 15 segment, which I've done with a few of the guests so far. So I asked Joe yesterday to prepare a team for me of the best 15 players that he has played with in his career. They can be players that he played with at school, a club, county, international rules, Railway Cup, college, all that sort of stuff counts. The only other rule is that he has to be in the team himself. So we're going to start off, Joe, with where you put yourself in the team.
Yep, this was a tough one now, and there's going to be a few people not happy, but I have to take the bullet and go with it. I stuck myself in full forward. I played centre forward, full forward, midfield, but my favourite position would probably be full forward. So I'll stick myself in the full forward line there.
That's good. Just before we go back to the keeper spot, was this a team that you picked based on the actual best players that you played with, or was it players that you played with over a certain amount of time, or like how did you sort of go about it?
I probably went with best players at the time I was playing with them to a point. I played with lads who've won All Irelands, but it was probably towards the end of their career to a point. And different things like that. There was lads I've played with that I probably didn't play, maybe played 10 minutes of football with. I didn't really include them as much as I would other lads. So it was probably a bit of balance, and probably trying not to have too many meat men in there as well.
Start off with the number 1 spot. So who have you got in goals for yourself?
Yeah, this was a bit of I put down our club keeper to start off. It was David Lyons. He won a couple of them championships, and he made one great save. But I was just throwing it around my head, and I've played with Cormac Sullivan and David Gallagher, but Brendan Murphy as a goalkeeper. Like, he played in the Premier, I think it was the league with Wimbledon over with Vinnie Jones and that, and his shot stopping, like, you just couldn't score on him. Training, it literally, like, lads would be like, coming out of training, I'm never going to score again. I can't score, because Brendan, you just couldn't score on him. Real nice fella, and he probably, because he was away and he come back, he probably didn't get as much time in goals with me obviously because he was playing professional sports. So he come back in great shape, always kept himself in great shape, and he's been involved with the teams as well, like goalkeeping coaching and stuff like that. But yeah, Brandy shot stopping now, we're just different level altogether.
Good stuff. Your full backline then. Should we move on to them guys?
Yeah, so cornerback Johnny McCarthy. This is back from UCD. I played in UCD back a number of years ago now. With a fantastic team, we got to the freshest final. It was one of the best teams I've played with now, to be fair. And Johnny McCarthy from Limerick, like, he marked Michael Meehan out of it. He roasted that many top quality footballers that went on serious careers. And he played with Limerick for probably 12 or 15 years himself, cornerback, fullback, and you ask anyone, like, one of the best defenders I've ever seen. Yeah. Unbelievable. Never fouled. read the game so well. Real quiet fella. Wouldn't say a word. Wouldn't bust the fella. Just done his job. And I don't think he ever got roasted. I've never seen him roasted. So Johnny McCarthy would have to go.
Very good.
Darren Fay, I don't think there's any explanation needed. Best full back, I would say, ever. Unbelievable what he done. 19 years of age in 96. And I played with him for probably 4 years. I used to mark him quite a good bit. And the best man to get a hand in, you think you have the ball, next thing he comes out of nowhere with a fist behind you, never fouled. And he was just literally a machine. You know, roasted that many fellas. And I know some lads have mentioned the time Paul Joyce ran around him in 2001. But other than that, I can't mention another time that anyone got the better of him because he was just a fantastic footballer. Yeah, back, we went with... I'll just get it here. Donal Keoghan. And there was a toss-up between Mark O'Reilly and Donal Keoghan, but I went with Donal Keoghan. He's playing some of the best football in the country. You know, what he's doing for Meath, he's just driving them on. He's scoring goals, he's kicking points, he's turning over forwards. Great leader and one of the best defenders. And he's probably very lucky not to have a couple of All-Stars at this stage.
And that's a very, very good full back line. And I'd love to see that actually go up with Matty Donnelly's team that he made last week. He had a full forward line of Lee Brennan, Stephen O'Neill and Conor McManus. So I'm sure that'd make for good watching.
Absolutely.
We'll move on to the half back line there, Joe.
Yeah, half back line. I went with Tommy O'Connor. I played with him from under 14 all the way up with Meath. Went to Australia with him with the under 17s. Minor, he played full back. He was on the Meath team too. Was at 17. He went and was on that Meath team for a number of years and had a fantastic career. It was cut short through injury and sickness. And unfortunately for him, he just couldn't get back. And he would have he kept himself in great shape. Played with that UCD team as well. And it just an absolute machine. Always in great shape. And he was the fella that drove us on. He got voted man of the match in Australia as well, I think. I think we lost by 10 points, so that's how good he was. Yeah, and just going on to that Australian rules team as well, Brian Cullen played centre back. He was captain of the team that year. It was quite a strong team that we had. I think Michael Meehan was on it as well, a number of other lads. Brian Cullen, just leadership, how we control the game. He was involved with a couple of Leinster teams as well that was involved with. But Brian Cullen's very steady and just, he was just a top-class footballer, to be fair.
Yeah, and a good trophy cabinet behind him as well.
Yeah, it's not bad. Wing back, left back. This was tight now because there's a couple of Meath lads that I played with. Paddy Reynolds. Paddy, probably, I'd only a year or two with him, so that's probably why. And then Queven King and Jamie Kenny, two lads there that would have played and were very consistent with me. But I went with it's a half back line of the international rules team. Mark McKeever from Cavan. He was. I've never seen someone so fit and energetic at 17. He was up and down against Australia. He was different level altogether. I think he'd after been playing 2 years with Gowner at centre back at that stage. So he played centre back with Gowner from 15-16. He won 2 championships as well. And then he obviously played for another 10 or 12 years as well. So himself, Sean Brady is another fella, a good friend, who played in that UCD team. So the two of them, it was tight between 3 or 4 lads there for that spot. Just
going off that, literally everyone bar Donal Keoghan, you can look back on their careers that have transpired, and you can say that they've had good long careers. And across the six backs and the keeper, you've said that a lot of them are good leaders. Is it the kind of team, like if you were to pick a captain now, you probably have a lot of head scratching to do because there's that many leaders across it, as you said.
Yeah, big time. And when you look at the type of lads that you have, some of them are different. The likes of Darren Fay was our captain for one of the years of me towards, I think, first, second, third year I was involved. And Never said a word as a captain. Literally would just say about 3 or 4 lines before the game start on the pitch. Once in the change room, but done his talking on the pitch. You know, they've other lads then like Brian Cullen who would speak in a change room and, you know, would have that sort of aura in a change room that you'd listen to what he would say. You know, but so they'd lead in different ways. And it's more about the respect that you'd have for them, that you'd listen to what they say as well.
100%. We'll go on to the middle of the field now, Joe.
Yep, this was a tight one now. I went with Dermot early and Paddy Keenan, and I was keeping off the middleman, obviously Nigel Crawford, after won 2 All-Irelands with us. But I just think with Dermot, like his all-round play as a natural midfielder, he was probably unlucky as well with a team that he probably didn't win All-Ireland. Like left foot, right foot, catch ball against any of the midfielders in the country, and had such a long, you know, distinguished career with Kildare, and he just a nice fella and played football the right way. That's what I really do like about certain players. Play it the right way, in the right sort of mentality, and you know, there's no rubbish with him. He always just done his work on the pitch, and that was it. So his partner, I put in Paddy Keenan of Louth. Same thing, left foot, right foot, an absolute machine. Wasn't the tallest midfielder, but he had a great leap on him. Incredible engine. And I think around that time he was the best footballer in the country, or sort of 09, 010. Obviously playing with Louth, you're obviously not going to get the sort of profile and some of the Kerry and Dublin players will get. But he got to that level because of how good he was playing. And if he played probably in the top 4 teams, he'd have probably a number of all-stars, he'd have player of the year as well, because he was that good, and he was just so consistent as well for Louth for a number of years. Yeah, and
it's actually it's a bit repetitive of what Kieran Byrne was saying as well in a podcast there a few weeks back. He had nothing but good stuff to say about him.
Absolutely. I'd question his taste in music, but that's the only thing.
That's a savage midfield there altogether. We'll go on to the half forward line now. So there's 5 spots left in the forward line with yourself on the edge of the square. So who have you got in the half forward line there?
Yeah, this was tight now. The half forward line, I had to pick between Johnny Doyle or Paul Flynn. So it was a tight one. But Paul Flynn, I played about 20 minutes, probably one full game max with Louth, with the Leinster team. But Johnny Doyle, what he done over his career, in that 06 in the provincial final, I remember he got a ball from inside our own half, and he was running up the line, and we were pointing up at this stage, and he came running up the sideline, and he had James Allen running after him. And next thing he was going, and Allen was getting to him. And Johnny just come inside the 45, and he went to swing the right foot, and Allen comes out of nowhere with a block, and Johnny does a dummy solo, checks back, swings it on the inside of his left, and over the bar. And it was like poetry in motion watching it. And I tell people about that score a lot of the time, and I couldn't leave Johnny Doyle out, to be fair.
I'll have to ask him about that. I was actually talking to text Johnny there yesterday, so hopefully he'll be on in a few weeks as well. You kind of look up Johnny Doyle on YouTube, and there's just a savage selection of scores there. Like it just both footed. He was top drawer. Yeah. Your centre forward.
Next we have Trevor Giles. I think there was something going around the other day, last couple of weeks, about who was the only player to win 2 Player of the Years, and everyone's like, I haven't a clue. I was like, I knew Trevor had won 2, and I didn't realise he was the only one. I was like, so that's easy. And like, he was always my idol growing up as a footballer himself, watching him, lucky enough to get to play with him. Obviously, his vision, very rarely give a ball away, you know, free take, and I was lucky enough. I come on, and I took over the frees after him because he had a groin injury, and it was like I had him training me and coaching me how to take frees and stuff like that. So just watching him, the way he ran a game, very rarely got tackled, and you know, with Graham and Ollie inside in a full forward line at around 96, 99, I'd say it was a dream to play with him. So I could not put Trevor in there.
Massive. Then as you said, Graham there as well. You're number 12.
Yeah, Graham is in at 12. Look, you could put Graham anywhere from 5 to 15, but I stuck him in at 12 there. Played with him all the way from club level. Obviously with Meath, the man could do anything. He'd pull a point from nowhere. He'd stick a goal in the back of the net from running half of the pitch. He'd go out and catch a ball between the best midfielders in the country. He'd go back and take a ball off a fella in the full back line. Like, he was an all-round machine of a man. Quick, like, so quick, and like an absolute character. Great fella to play with. He might give you a bollocking, but he'd give you a hug after the game as well. And he's a great fella. So pleasure to have played with Graham and Trevor. It was an honour now, to be fair.
And just right, okay. So we were on the half forward line there. We'll head into the full forward line now. So you've got yourself on the edge of the square, and who have you got there in the two corners?
Yeah, we have left corner forward. I went with Ollie Murphy. The man literally could make the ball do whatever he wanted. I played alongside him for a couple of years. He was coming towards the end of his career, but it was probably 2 or 3 years. And left foot, right foot. I can remember we played Tipperary in the league game, and we were losing up in Tipperary one day. Declan Brown was playing, and Ollie came on, and we were a couple of points behind at this stage. And Ollie, I remember he got the ball on the bad side. He was coming in just probably along the 14-yard line. He stuck the ball on the outside of his left, drop kicked it straight over the bar, and ran off as if like that was something he'd usually do. Like, I've never seen anyone do it, and that was his bad foot, you know. And like, do anything. And like, when you look back at his career and some of the goals and the scores he took, his natural ability was incredible from both feet. So I'd have to go with Ollie there.
Massive, Jesus Christ! It sounds like an unbelievable score, right? To do that off your good foot is one thing, like, but off the weaker foot.
Oh yeah, if I tried, I'd make a show of myself.
I'd say Andy man would be there for a while now, trying to do
exactly.
It. The last spot in the field.
Last man is a dub, Bernard Brogan. Play with him with Leinster, and look, his career speaks for itself. What he's done, he's just natural goal scorer. That's what I really love. Obviously, being a forward, it's just I love scoring goals.
Yeah.
And he was the same, you know. And we played alongside each other a couple of times. I remember we played up in Croke Park in the semi-final, in the interprovincial semi-final, and we just clicked really well. And his runs, very clever, instinctive, you know, takes him half a second to shoot. And his career has been fantastic. And to see where he came from doing his cruise shit early on in his career, I think he only came into the Dublin squad. I think he was in and around it, but I think he got his first start around 23 or 4, you know. So to come and then kick on again and do what he done, and it's a fair achievement. So it was he was the last man that made the 15. But I do have to mention one. It was I was going to put him in, but I couldn't really because I didn't play with him. It was Kieran McDonald from Mayo.
Yeah,
we were very lucky that he rang my father around 2009, the time we played in the championship final, see if he could train with us. And he was just working down the road, and next thing he come up and he done a bit of training with us. And I've never trained with someone that has so much control, what he could do with the football. And I think he would have been around 40 at the time, but literally we were in awe of what he was doing. His ability, he was looking this way and stick a ball on the outside of his left over here into someone's chest. But I had to just give him a mention. We only trained with him for maybe 6 or 8 weeks, but it was a joy to watch him. So I just had to give him a little mention.
Yeah, he'd be an idol of mine now, because my mother is actually from Crossmolina, and I remember. All right,
good stuff.
I remember there about probably, I say 6 or 7 years ago now. There's an uncle of mine, Damien Mulligan. He would have been on that Crossmolina team that won the All Ireland in the early 2000s. And he brought me up to a training in Crossmolina. McDonald was training, and they were doing like a possession game. It was like a 20 by 20 square, but like everyone was there going on hand passing the ball, and he was there outside the left, pinging balls diagonal, cross, anything like. He just made it look so easy.
You won't know where. Like he's not even looking at the player next thing, a lad over here on his chest, and it was so funny. He pulled up in the Jeep and like opened up the back of the Jeep, and I had to go and pick him up and bring him over to the pitch, and literally like about 10 pairs of Predators just fell out of the back, and he head to toe in Adidas. He was just, as you said, someone I adored and admired as a player, like, you know.
Massive. Just for anyone listening to on Spotify, we'll go through the team again. So we got Brendan Murphy in goals, Johnny McCarthy, Darren Fay and Donald Keoghan, the full back line, Tommy O'Connor, Brian Cullen and Mark McKeever, half back line, Dermot Earley and Paddy Keenan midfield, Johnny Doyle, Trevor Giles and Graham Garrity at the half forward line, Ollie Murphy, Joe Sheridan and Bernard Brogan. So that's Joe's 15. I think that wraps up everything, Joe.
Yeah, spot on. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks a million for coming on the podcast.
No worries. Thanks very much, and hope all goes well. And yeah, hopefully we'll be out of this sooner rather than later.
Hopefully, no. Sure, we might see each other in Crow Park someday. Yeah, hopefully.
With a bit of luck.
Absolutely. That's that now. Ball Talk 5 is finished. I'll be back. This is out on Friday, so maybe next Tuesday we'll have one up with Tip Hurler, Brendan Maher, and have another one up then next Friday. So that's us. Recording is